Hello, welcome in everybody. Welcome back to another video. Today this is going to be a tier list for the game Dark Cloud 1 where we are going to be ranking each of the playable characters in terms of how good is this character, assuming that you're playing every character at equal skill level, who is going to be the best character in the game and who is going to be the worst character in the game purely based on gameplay. We're not talking about how cool the characters are. This is purely a gameplay based tier list. So who is the best character, assuming that you're playing every character at an equal skill level in the game? Let's go ahead and let's get started. We're going to rank these in order of the characters that join in the story, and we're going to place them on a tier list. The top of the tier list is of course going to be the best characters in the game gameplay wise. The bottom of the tier list is going to be the worst characters gameplay wise on the tier list. Alright, the first character we're going to be ranking is the main character of the game, Tone, who is the very first character you get in the game. He fights using swords. He is a melee character. So right off the bat, the fact that he's a melee character is a little bit of a disadvantage. I find that in Dark Cloud 1 that ranged is the best way to fight enemies, because ranged you're able to fight from a distance and you're able to be a lot more safe against enemies, and you have the range advantage, and melee enemies have to walk up to you, and sometimes you can kill the enemies, especially melee ones, before they get within range and attack you. I will say though that Tone does a lot of damage. He attacks relatively quick. You can attack multiple times with him very fast. So Tone, I think of the melee characters, is actually one of the best melee characters in the game. But he is very powerful, and I definitely think he is by far one of the best melee characters in the game, and overall one of the better characters in the game. Okay, we have the second character coming up next, which is Zhao, who is the character that fights using a slingshot. So right off the bat, we got a character that is a ranged character, which is a big advantage in Dark Cloud 1. Ranged allows you to attack enemies from a distance away. Having that ranged advantage is a big advantage because you can stay safe, you can shoot enemies from far away, kill melee enemies before they get close enough to attack you. And like I've said, I believe that ranged characters have the advantage in Dark Cloud 1's combat. Zhao, in terms of being a ranged character, I think is one of the weaker ranged characters in the game though. Other characters such as Ruby, who you get later on in the game, you can charge up attacks with, and Zhao doesn't really have that advantage. But Zhao can be pretty good early in the game. She definitely has a little bit of an advantage over Tone if you can get her a good weapon or upgrade her weapon a lot early on. So Zhao overall I think is pretty good to use, but not one of the best characters in the game. But she definitely is quite good because she has the ranged advantage, and that does help out a lot. The only problem with Zhao would be that she kind of pales in comparison to the other ranged characters you get later in the game. Our third character is going to be Goro, who is the character that joins during the Wise Owl part of the game. And Goro is basically the slow but really strong character of the game. Unfortunately, Goro has a really horrible way that he swings his weapon in combat, and it can make it very difficult to hit enemies with him. Add to the fact that, of course, he's slower than other characters, and that's a major disadvantage during combat as well, because he cannot respond as quickly to enemy attacks as other characters. Now, the big advantage that Goro does have is that he can do a ton of damage if he hits. Some people will say that he can get around his horrible way that he kind of swings his weapon by using his charge up attack and then using his charge attack and doing that. But the problem is that while you're charging up the attack, he moves at the speed of a snail, and he really does not have room to dodge enemy attacks like that. And ultimately, I think Goro is one of the weakest characters in the game because of that. Not weak in terms of low damage output, but weak because of his bad mobility and the fact that he got mostly use his charge attack to easily hit enemies. Otherwise, he kind of has a horrible way that he swings his weapon, and he's overall just not that good. Next up is going to be the fourth character of the game, Ruby. Ruby is the second ranged character you get in the game, and she is one of the best characters in the game in my opinion. She is the first extremely good character that you get. She basically fights by shooting magic blasts and projectiles at enemies. She can charge them up to do more damage, and Ruby overall is just really incredibly good. She can do super high damage if you upgrade her weapons a lot like any character, but she can also charge her attacks and then do extremely high damage with her attacks. And then you also got the range advantage, so she can stay far away from melee enemies, kill them before they get over to her. And overall, Ruby is just incredibly good. Absolutely one of the best characters in the game. You can't go wrong with playing as Ruby, but I do not think she is the best character in the game. I think there is one more character who we're going to rank later on that is even better than Ruby is, but I think she is probably the second best character in the entire game. The next character that we have to talk about is the 5th character of the game, Ungaga, who joins in the Sun and Moon Temple. He fights using a spear, and he's got a really weird way that he swings his weapon, kind of like another melee character, Goro. And because of the awkward way that he kind of swings his weapon on the first swing of his attacks and his combos, it can make it very difficult to hit enemies with him. Now, if you do the rest of his combo, where he kind of gets to the second hit, he swings his weapon in a much better arc. That makes it a lot easier to hit enemies, but overall, Ungaga is just very awkward to use in terms of controlling him and fighting with him and swinging his weapon. So that is a huge disadvantage for this character. I think his charge attack is not all that great for combat either. Overall, I'm going to say Ungaga is definitely one of the weakest characters in the game, one of the worst. He just does not fight very effectively. He has a weird way that he swings his weapon, kind of like Goro, and he does less damage than Goro despite being a little bit quicker than him. Overall, I would say Ungaga is definitely one of the worst characters in the game along with Goro, and he also has the disadvantage of being a melee character, so he can't kill melee enemies from far away like ranged characters can. Next up, we're going to be talking about the final character of the game, which is Osman. Alright, so Osman, the final playable character in the game who joins you, is by far the best character in the game. I would consider him overpowered compared to all the other characters, and the reason why is because Osman has something very unique to him. Every character in Dark Cloud has to stop when they attack. However, Osman is the one character in the game who can move around while attacking. No other character in the game has this advantage like he does. Not only can Osman move while attacking, but he is also a ranged fighter. As I mentioned many times, ranged characters have a huge advantage in Dark Cloud, and Osman is no exception, and being able to move while attacking is a big advantage that no other character in the game has. It without a doubt makes him the best character in the game. He attacks very quickly, and is overall just an insanely good character. He's very, very good for fighting in Dark Cloud. He is without a doubt the best character in the game. And overall, that is going to be my tier list ranking of all the characters in Dark Cloud. Let me know what you think. If you're new to the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and also follow me over on my Twitch channel at www.twitch.tv/Hawkstorm and give me a follow over on the Twitch channel. I'd really greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much. You are all awesome and you have a great rest of the day. And we're going to be ending the video here, and stay tuned for the next video.